Hey everybody, Nathan Ronen, CFA here with another update for this week for Level 1 candidates who are taking their exam in November 2024, February 2025, May 2025, or even any time thereafter. One of the questions I keep getting, Nathan, I see these pre-reads, also known as prerequisite readings, or preliminary readings, whatever you want to call them, pre-reads, whatever you like to call them. Should I do them? Do I need to do them? Do they test on them? How long should I spend on them? So I want to dedicate this to all those people that are looking at those pre-reads and going, do I got to do them? Do I got to do them? All right, let's get into that. But before we do, if you'd like to continue receiving these kinds of updates on a weekly or bi-weekly basis as I post them, please press the subscribe button and the confirmation button right now so that you can continue to be updated on developments in the CFA world. Nathan, I get this question multiple times a week, even every couple of days. I'm a Level 1 candidate. I'm thinking of joining your program. I just wanted to know, should I do the pre-reads? Do I need to do the pre-reads? Do you cover the pre-reads in the CFA Level 1 program? All right. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. Let me make it very clear for you. In 2024 and going forward, the CFA Institute made a change to the Level 1 program and made it more compact or concise by taking a lot of the introductory readings in three topics: economics, quant, and financial statement analysis. And took all of this material, and there was very preliminary or very like what you call foundational readings, and put them into three separate areas in what they call pre-reads. So there are pre-reads for financial statement analysis, pre-reads for quant, and pre-reads for economics at Level 1. And the question is, Nathan, do I need to do these readings? Now, you're going to hear different viewpoints on it, depending on who you speak to. Even if you look at the CFA Institute's website, most people will tell you, nah, don't worry about it. Even the CFA Institute tells you that 9 out of 10 candidates or 90% of the candidates have been exposed to all of that stuff or know all that stuff. So, but it's up to you if you need a refresher. There's a lot of truth to this. There's also a little bit of, what I consider not complete information. So I'm going to give it to you straight up. Should you do the pre-reads in quant, economics, and financial statement analysis? Excuse me. So the question is, before you even answer that is, do you still remember everything you saw on micro and macro and everything that you saw on statistics and everything that you did in accounting from your college years? Well, if that was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, you probably don't. Okay? Nobody retains everything. If you just got out of a program and you just took those courses, that might be a different issue. My suggestion to you is, it is correct. You will not get tested on the learning outcome statements in those pre-reads. That is absolutely correct. The CFA Institute has said that clearly, and people that have taken the exam didn't complain about it. So I assume that it was never asked. But here's the issue. Should you even look at them? Absolutely, 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 yes. You should definitely look at them. First of all, you may be overestimating how much you retained or remember from your college curriculum course on the topics that are in the pre-reads. So what I would recommend to you is I would take the readings, whichever order you like. You could do quant first or economics first or FSA first. It doesn't really matter. And I would actually skim the readings. And if everything looks familiar, move on. On to the next reading. If everything looks familiar, move on to the next reading. If something doesn't look familiar, then review it or refresh yourself. Okay? The reason for that is because a lot of the topics, a lot of the concepts that are presented in these preliminary, prerequisite, or pre-reads, as they call them, are going to serve as the base for the actual curriculum readings that you do. So in other words, let's say at random, we take the topic of the balance sheet. There is a reading about understanding the balance sheet, or even understanding the statement of cash flows or the income statement. And that reading, a portion of it has been put into the pre-read. And then after that portion, the remaining part of the reading is in the actual curriculum. So what I would do is I would say, okay, let me take a look at this reading about the balance sheet in the pre-read. Yep, this looks familiar. This looks familiar. Ooh, what is comprehensive income in the equity section of the balance sheet? I forgot. Oh, I remember that from college, but let me go over that and go over that. Not a problem. I mean, do you know what cash equivalents, and accounts receivables are? Fine. Do you remember the different ways of measuring accounts receivables? No? Then just read it. Why? Because what you're going to find is the more background you do, the easier the actual curriculum readings will be, because you won't have to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I highly recommend doing the pre-reads. I don't think you need to read it page by page, line by line, do every single problem at the end of the chapter. That's probably not necessary, because A, you're not going to get tested on it directly. And number two, you might be spending a lot of time on stuff you don't need to do. So I would skim it. And if something is very familiar, move past it. If something is not very familiar or you want a refresher, read it. How long would I spend on it? The maximum that I would spend on any of the topics is about 2 weeks. 2 weeks on quant, 2 weeks on the economics, 2 weeks on the FSA pre-reads. Now, that is if you have a lot of time until your actual exam, like your exam is 8 months from now, or 7 months from now, or 9 months from now. If your exam is coming up pretty soon, okay, or in the near future, then you really don't have that luxury of time of spending 2 weeks on each of the different pre-read topics. So what I would do is I would just probably conquer them or look through them, and I think you could probably do that in a few days. Just skim and look at anything that doesn't look very familiar to you and read it a little bit more in depth. That's what I would do. Again, it's a personal choice. Everybody's background, everybody's knowledge, everybody's base is different. If accounting is giving you problems, then maybe you need to spend more time with the pre-reads in financial statement analysis. If you're not a quant jock, or statistics gave you problem in your undergraduate and your master's program, one or the other or both, then I would maybe spend more time with the quant pre-reads. But I don't think you need to spend more than 2 weeks on any one topic. And I think that you can get away with doing each of them in about 3 to 5 days, depending on your work schedule and your workload. But you should be able to, rush through them pretty quickly and, get through them. Now, again, should you do them? Yes. Should you spend a lot of time on them? No. The other thing is, why should you even look at it? Because even though the CFA Institute says that they're not going to test you on it directly, they could test you on it indirectly. In other words, they could ask you something in the financial statement analysis material at level 1, assuming that you already understand comprehensive income and other comprehensive income and how that would impact the equity section of the balance sheet and therefore the financial leverage ratio of the firm. Okay, so there's all kinds of tie-ins that they could do. So it would be not a wise idea to completely skip the pre-reads or these preliminary readings, but it would also be not a very wise idea to spend many weeks on them either. I would just get through them as quickly as possible, familiarize myself with things that looked familiar but I forgot them, and just skip the stuff that is very familiar or I know. That's how I would handle it. And again, when you join me at chalkandboard.org, I will be giving you these kinds of tips and strategies for many of the different things, and I will get into specifics on the pre-reads or prerequisite readings, what you should definitely read and what you could skip once we do a study plan session together, and then we'll lay out a whole study plan from now until your exam day. That's what we do at Chalk and Board, because we want you to pass. This has been great. Hope everything is well, and keep in touch, and you can reach out to me at chalkandboard.org. That's CHALK and AND, board, BOARD, chalkandboard.org. If you have any further questions, look forward to seeing you in my Level 1 review course. Have a good day and good luck with your studying.